Everyone. Gaurav Banerjee as obviously today is a day, so we should remember our great person and our past president in memory of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. I decided to give a talk on this particular topic, India's journey to space. I will start my talk today thanking the organizers, Institute of Exploration, everyone who is working from behind and for giving the opportunity to present this talk. So today I feel there are many people who might not understand Bengali, so they are also in English, but in easy language. And wherever necessary, I will obviously translate also into Bengali so that it will be understandable by everyone. So, with a tribute to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, basically tomorrow is his fifth date anniversary. So, with a tribute to him, with a gratitude to him, I start today and why I have chosen that I should talk about this missile man, but there is a reason for that. Instead of being a missile man, he was also very much importantly known to all of us as the one of the key person who actually was the founder of the Indian space program. So basically, how it started, what was his contribution in starting the Indian space program, I will concentrate on that. Of India and
Uh, Excuse me,
who
Gaurav. একটু
they
হ্যালো গৌরব, আমার
contribute
কথা
for
শুনতে পাচ্ছ?
what we have today, what we are today, what was so I did my talk of history interested that the which were invented, which were used were around 800 years ago, somewhere near 1232 AD. Hello, hello, hello. আচ্ছা 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 হ্যাঁ 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 মানে এখন শোনা যাচ্ছে কি দেখুন তো এখন শোনা যাচ্ছে কিনা হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে okay so I suppose the sound is audible now. So we will start the talk going to the basic history, the ancient history. Let us start by watching how rocket started, how who first invented the rockets. According to literature, we have found that this was the Chinese people around 800 years ago in 1232 AD or Common Era. So they first used rockets, but basically these rockets were very primitive staged rockets. It was fire was used, gunpowder was used, and they were used for explosive purpose. That means these were basically used for war purpose. And if we move on to India, if we go come back to our own country, India, then I feel some of you might know this fact that the first person of India who first used rockets was a king, a famous king Tipu Sultan. So these are the rockets which were first developed by Tipu Sultan and his guardian Hyder Ali, and they used these particular rockets. These were first modern. We can tell it the first modern precursors of rockets, where they used iron tubes tied with bamboo sticks and gunpowders, and these were used against the fight or against the British during 1792 and 1799. So the British people, with this kind of attack, they were completely stunned, and it was a massive blow to the British when Tipu Sultan first used rockets. So this is what the basic history tells us. So basically, if anyone goes to, or if any one of you visit NASA, that is one of the leaders, the leader of space science. So while entering the NASA head office, you will see there is a poster or there is a plaque which describes this feat. that the first modern rocket, the first precursor of modern rocket was invented by Tipu Sultan of India. So basically, somehow we find that it was human history which was completely subdued in our country. But what about so these rockets during those times till 1800 1850s, if somebody is using rockets, we can see one thing which is common is rockets were basically used for war purpose. But what is the necessity of rockets? What is the necessity of space science? So if we use rockets only for war, do we actually need space science? Do we actually need rocketry? Yes, we need it. How the modern rocketry came into our world. So we will go to this particular person who is basically known as the father of space travel or father of modern rocketry. He is Konstantin Kovsky from Russia. So he was the first person who basically derived the principles how a rocket can fly. So it's not like a Diwali rocket which will fly for few hundred feet and come down. If we need modern rocket which will go to space or which will at least reach the high above altitudes of sky, we need mathematics. And those mathematics was first discovered by Konstantin Kovsky, and he first suggested through his understanding that see we need not fire, we need liquid fuel. We need to use some liquid as a fuel so that we can power the rockets to higher altitudes, might be to space also. But he was the person who was a theoretician. He theoretically suggested it, and the person who first actually used that theory and properly made one rocket was this person, Robert Goddard. He was an American physicist, and this was the first rocket which was built by him and in the history of modern era. And in 1926, 16th March, this was the first liquid propelled rocket which flew. It could not go to space, but it was a undoubtable success. So this was the basically the starting of rocketry. But now we have to come to a person. Now we have to come to the stage. Okay, what was the starting stage for space travel or for winning the space? The 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 seeds for winning the space were laid during the time of Second World War, and especially one person from Germany, Nazi Werner von Braun. He is regarded as the mastermind for space science. Why? So the story is very fascinating about this person. He was a brilliant guy. So when Germany collapsed, when America and they won the World War II in 1945, then this Werner von Braun was arrested and he was taken to America. And it was known that he was the main mastermind for developing German V-2 rockets or missiles. So if you read the history of World War II, you will see this particular set of German missiles became a nightmare for the British during the time of World War II. And this person was the mastermind for developing these V-2 missiles. So he was given an option directly in America that see either you join our space travel or space mission program, or you are arrested, you will be killed. So naturally, he understood that I need to join the space travel community, and I need to help America to make spacecrafts and rockets. এবং এটা উনি বুঝতে পেরেছিলেন যে আমি যদি আজকে ধরা পড়ার পরে নাজি বাহিনীর তরফ থেকে নাজিরা হেরে গেছে, আমি যদি আজকে বলি যে আমি আমেরিকাকে সাহায্য করব না, তারা আমাকে অফার দিচ্ছে যে স্পেস ডেভেলপমেন্টে আমাদের সাথে যুক্ত হও, রকেট ডেভেলপমেন্টে যুক্ত হও, আমি সেটা যদি না শুনি, দেন আই উইল বি কিল্ড, আমাকে মেরে ফেলা হবে. So he was a smart guy, brilliant guy, and he joined the American space shuttle or American rocketry system, development system. And later, if you see the history, you will see the Saturn V rocket, which actually took the first men to moon. So that Saturn V rocket was developed by a group of scientists, and the leader of or the main engineer of that group of scientists, of that group of engineers, was this person, Werner von Braun. So this was the person with the help of whom we actually got the first proper rocket in our era. And Naturally, we know this. Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite which was launched by the then USSR on October 4, 1957. So, with this, basically, the space travel or the birth of space age began. This was the first time humans were able to send one particular satellite to space. I will come to this aspect ki what is a satellite, what is a rocket. We need to understand what is the difference between this. And in the meantime, I will also request that if anyone has any question regarding this talk or something you want to know, you can put your question in the chat box. After the end of this talk, we can take these questions. If I know, I will definitely give the answer for that. So let me come to back to the point. So Sputnik 1 on 1957 October 4th, it was launched, and this actually marked a race, or this actually started a new age, the age of space travel, the space age as we call it. But this is okay. That was the first time humans launched one spacecraft or one satellite. Next year, within next year, humans were already launching some more amounts of information, some more amount of creatures also. So as we all basically know, the Laika, the first creature, which was a dog, which was launched to space, and it was the first living creature to orbit the Earth, and it went to orbit on November 3rd, 1957. Who was the first human being to go to space? That is also known to many of us. Yuri Gagarin, 1961, 12th April. So he was the first human being who actually went to space, and actually he roamed, he traveled around Earth for around 1 hour 50 minutes. So this was basically this actually from 1960 onwards or 1961 onwards, we can actually tell that yes, people have already conquered space. Now we can roam around the Earth, and that is good thing. But why we need this? Do we really need space travel? Do we really need space science at all? Why we should send rockets to space? Let me come to this point first. Yes, we basically need rocket science. Yes, we basically need space science. We basically need space technology. Why? There are ample amount of examples which are some are marked here where space science is necessary. So suppose if you go to your home, when you are inside home, I can now tell that in India, which is basically not a rich country, can anyone tell me how many people in India nowadays do not have a mobile phone? It is basically very less compared to anybody, compared to any other aspects. It is very less to have a mobile phone. Also, TV, internet, everything which is now working in our laptop, mobile, computers, whatever is working nowadays using internet, i- they are basically we are basically using satellites. We are basically using space science. Whenever you talk to somebody with the help of a mobile phone, you are basically using the byproducts of space science. Apart from this ample contribution in the field of communication, space technology has contributed in various other aspects. Nowadays, in a country like India, not a single person can claim basically that I am not using space science. I am not using the benefits of space technology. Just we can go through this once for delivering education in remote places, weather forecasting, disaster management, also for defense purpose, security purpose, for mapping different aspects. We use space science each and every moment. And now the last point is bit difficult to understand. It's bit tricky. Apart from all these applications, we also have a major application of space science or understanding space, that is to earn knowledge about what, earn knowledge about nature, earn knowledge about natural phenomena, whatever is happening in earth, whatever is happening outside earth, which we call as astronomy or space science or space. We need to know about these things. Why we need to know about nature and space and natural phenomena? Gradually I will come. But basically now one can ask one question, that okay, I understand, but to know about nature, to know about space, to know about the celestial objects which are beyond Earth, don't we have any instrument situated in Earth? And do we really need for communication and all this purpose? Do we need space science? Yes, we need. But for earning proper knowledge about nature, do we need space science? Why? Yes, we need. But yes, it is also true that there are so many opportunities in ground also. With the help of ground based opportunities or ground based facilities also, we can understand about the space, or we can basically understand about the celestial objects which are situated beyond earth. For example, let us come to these observatories, or basically places where professional telescopes are situated. So, any particular office or any place where a huge professional telescopes are located, basically they are known as observatories, এবং বাংলায় এদেরকে বলা হয় মান মন্দির। মান মন্দির বা অবজারভেটরি হলো সেই জায়গা যেখানে বিশাল বিশাল টেলিস্কোপ রাখা আছে, যার সাহায্যে আমরা মহাকাশকে চিনতে পারি, যার সাহায্যে আমরা মহাকাশকে স্টাডি করতে পারি। but where are these located? Can you ever identify any one of these place? Is it a city? No, it is not a city. These observatories are basically located in various remote places of the world. And with the help of these particular highly sophisticated instruments and telescopes, we can understand, we can know about the space or astronomical objects. So, do we Indians have any such observatories? Yes, we obviously have. For example, this is a telescope situated at নৈনিতাল। এটি একটি বিশাল বড় টেলিস্কোপ যা নৈনিতালে রয়েছে, উত্তরাখণ্ডে। And this is known as Sampurnanand telescope. So basically, Sampurnanand was the late previous chief minister of Uttar Pradesh. That time it was Uttar Pradesh. It was not Uttarakhand. So this telescope is one such telescope or one such observatory in India. Apart from that, in India presently, we have various world-class ground-based facilities or observatories. So if you know about Ladakh, nowadays Ladakh is almost every day, Ladakh and COVID. These two things are people thinking about. It is in news. So in Ladakh, in a place called Hanle in Ladakh, which is a remote place, which is a very, very remote place near the China border, you can see there are something. And this is basically known as Indian Astronomical Observatory. This is one of the finest places in Earth for doing astronomy. And these telescopes also, there are this particular picture I have taken from the top of a mountain. So at the top of that mountain also there are telescopes. So comprising of around so many telescopes observing so many issues. So this particular observatory is one of the finest in the world for astronomical purposes. If we go to some other places, it is not that only in one particular place we have fine observatory. এরকম নয় যে আমাদের দেশে শুধুমাত্র এরকম একটি বা দুটি অবজারভেটরি আছে, এছাড়াও আরো নানান জায়গায় রয়েছে। There are various other places also where in India itself where we have fantastic astronomical observatories, ground-based facilities. So suppose this particular place, which is known as Vainu Bappu Observatory, this is situated at a place known as Kavalur, a small town, near a small town, completely full of, you can understand by watching, it's full of forests. So it is in Tamil Nadu, basically around 200 kilometers away from Bangalore. And if you look here, basically this place is known as the telescope city of India. So here only you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 telescopes. Basically there are more than this, so which are not always visible from this picture. So there are so many telescopes situated here, and with the help of each and every telescope is having some particular sophisticated instrumentation, some particular purpose. And if I zoom into this particular telescope, which is the largest in this place, so basically this is a historical telescope. This is known as the Vainu Bappu telescope. So Mainalikand Vainu Bappu was one of the great astronomers who shaped astronomy in India after independence. And you can see this is that telescope. It's a huge telescope. If you look into it properly, you will understand the scale. You can see people standing here. So basically, it is a huge telescope. It's a six-storied building. This is the particular telescope. When anyone, like, I also use this telescope for my observation purposes in astronomy. So when we are observing at the night sky, so what happens is this particular place, this dome opens as it is opened now, and the telescope can be pointed at any place you want to see in the sky. It can track any particular object which you want to observe. So by looking into these aspects, now naturally a person can think, okay, if in India itself we are having so much of ground-based facilities, then why we need to study space, or why we need to gain knowledge about space from space itself? Is it necessary? Yes, it is necessary. Why? So for that, let me come to this particular slide. I need to explain very roughly about what is light. And if we know about this, then we will understand that yes, to know about space, we need to go to space. To know about, to gain knowledge about astronomy also, to gain knowledge about astronomical phenomena also, we need to travel to space. Why? And this picture tells everything. So what is basically light? Anyone who is now studying in schools and colleges, in high schools and colleges, you will know that light basically is a type of radiation. And more specifically, it is a type of electromagnetic radiation. No need to go into details. What it basically means is, so basically we can divide that radiation into a huge band, and we will see only a few portion of that radiation, which is known as visible window, our naked eyes or our human eyes can detect. So our eyes basically can detect a very small portion of this electromagnetic radiation, which we call as light. And this visible amount of radiation which our eyes can detect is in common terms known as optical light. So if you see the whole range or whole band or spectrum of light or radiation, electromagnetic radiation, you will see that the whole spectrum or the whole band of light stretches from here to here, which is a long region. Among that, only a very few portion our eyes can detect, and that portion we call it as optical light. What about the other portions? So this, the down portion, this portion is actually depicting the earth, and the above earth, it shows a schematic diagram of the earth's atmosphere. Now what is telling, what we can get from this picture is this. See, this visible light, optical light, what our eyes can detect, that can pass, and that can pass through the atmosphere of Earth, and it can reach to the ground. So it's okay. If we want to know about something about sun or any other object outside our Earth, in optical light, then we can make a telescope as we have seen, and through that telescope we can observe that object. But let's go to the left hand side and right hand side of this optical band. See, there are other kinds of electromagnetic radiations. Suppose ultraviolet. We all have heard about these ultraviolet rays coming from sun. Where are those ultraviolet rays? Can you see? Can we see ultraviolet rays? We cannot. Let's move to the right hand side of this optical visible window. Infrared. We have learned about infrared ray. Any particular human being, any animal actually radiates infrared radiation. But can we see it? We cannot see it. We everyone actually we take the help of radio. Either in our phone, we are actually using radio communication. So this radio wavelength or radio waves, can we see the radio waves? We cannot see that. There are other bands in the left hand side like X-rays. When you go to a hospital for your X-ray purpose, what is that X-ray? Can we see that X-ray? We cannot. Then there are gamma rays. Also there are microwave rays. So that when you are using in your kitchen microwave oven, you will see we are using, or you will, if you go to the Wikipedia or if you go to internet and check how microwave ovens work, you will see that microwave oven works by taking the help of microwave radiation. Where is that radiation? We cannot see these radiations, but these are existing. And if we look here, we will see most of these radiations are blocked by the Earth's atmosphere. If we look at X-ray, you will see that this X-ray is completely opaque, almost opaque, completely opaque to Earth's ground. So if you want to see some object in an X-ray, if you want to see, suppose, an astronomical object through X-ray, you cannot do that by sitting on Earth. But obviously, from X-ray to gamma ray and most of the portions of ultraviolet, you can see it is opaque. Means these rays or this radiation is blocked by the Earth's atmosphere. Some portion of visible, or that is the optical light, we can see from our Earth's ground, and very few portions of infrared that also enters through Earth, through the Earth's atmosphere, reaches us in the ground. And also some portions of radio waves that enter through Earth, and we can actually catch that radio wave. But basically, infrared, as you can see, infrared rays, they are also mainly absorbed by water vapor and carbon dioxide, which is present in the atmosphere. Long wavelengths of radio waves, they are also absorbed by atmosphere. X-ray, gamma ray, ultraviolet, we cannot get it from sitting on Earth. So that means what? That means if we want to gain knowledge about anything in outside Earth, any astronomical object, if we want to gain proper knowledge about that, we need to go to space. We need to place telescopes in space. So space telescopes and space science is absolutely important in various other aspects. I will gradually come to that. But yes, this is true. The radio waves which we can actually catch sitting on Earth, for detecting those particular range of radio waves, we need not have to go to space. So as I am talking basically about India, we also have one of the finest radio telescope system in the world that is present or that is situated somewhere near Pune, around 90 kilometers away from Pune, and it is known as Giant Meter Wave Radio Telescope. And this is also a telescope system, but we have to understand that every telescope does not look like the same. As it is catching radio waves, so it is basically a radio dish antenna. So you can see here that this telescope system basically comprises of 30 antennas. Each an antenna is having a diameter dash. Each an antenna is having a diameter from here to here 45 meters. 45 meters, and 30 antennas combined together with the help of electronics, they make a huge virtual radio telescope. So this is one of the finest radio telescopes present in the world, which is situated in India. Now, apart from these, there are other telescopes which I will not go to the details here. As I have mentioned, if I want to travel or if I want to know or gain knowledge about astronomy properly, we need to travel to space. Now, the question can come, why we need to gain knowledge about astronomy? Well, I guess the next picture will tell. How many of you have seen the sun? I guess everybody. Obviously, do not look at the sun with the help of a glass or with naked eye, with the help of telescope. Never look at the sun. But if we see sun with our eyes for a second also, if you take the picture of a sun with the help of your camera, which is also dangerous, but if you take it, this is what sun looks like, the middle image, optical view. Why it is optical view? Because with the help of optical light, we are taking the image. So by looking at this middle optical view of sun, can anyone tell that sun is basically made up of glowing gas, sun is a ball of fire? We are reading this from maybe from class 2, class 3, class 4, that sun is a glowing ball of gas, sun is basically burning fire. Where is fire in this picture? Instead, it is deceiving. This picture is deceiving to us. It tells us we can feel by watching this picture that sun is very quiet and calm and it does not have fire. It is very normal thing, but actually it is not. So if you take the same picture of sun with the help of X-ray, with the help of radio wave, with the help of extreme ultraviolet telescopes, with the help of infrared telescopes, then you will see the same sun in a different phase. Sun will reveal its danger. Sun will actually tell what it is, not through optical wave, not through optical view. It reveals itself in some other bands, as we can see here. And any one other picture you take, either in infrared, X-ray, radio, ultraviolet, you can very easily tell that sun is not at all calm and quiet. It is not only a burning ball of fire, but something is happening every second in sun. Suppose if you go to ultraviolet, suppose if you go to X-ray, you will see each and every second matter is being released, matter is coming out from sun, প্রতি সেকেন্ডে সূর্য থেকে হিউজ পরিমাণে মেটেরিয়াল ছিটকে বেরিয়ে আসছে। So matter is being released from sun each and every second, and that matter where it is going, maximum of it is falling to sun due to gravity, but much of it is also traveling towards earth with extreme speed. And this is something known as solar wind. This is something known as solar wind, which we should take care about. If our earth didn't have atmosphere, আমাদের পৃথিবীর যদি অ্যাটমসফিয়ার আবহাওয়া মণ্ডল না থাকতো, তাহলে এই সোলার উইন্ডের দাপটে আমরা কেউ পৃথিবীতে টিকতে পারতাম না। উইদাউট atmosphere on earth, life couldn't have sustained in our earth. And to understand how sun behaves, to understand how dangerous sun is, to understand how these extremely charged particles which come from sun almost every second, we need to understand sun. We need to study sun. How will you study sun? Only with optical view? So if you study sun with optical view, then this is the thing. Seeing is not always believing. It will deceive you. And that is why, to understand, to protect our own planet Earth, we need to go to space. We need to study astronomy. We need to place instruments at space, not only in ground. So this is about studying astronomical objects. Okay, I understand. To gain knowledge, to protect ourselves, we need to study space. But my topic is not astronomy today mainly. So let me now gradually go to something which is relevant to this talk particularly. So to need to go to space, what we need rockets. If you want to go to space, you will need rockets. And what is basically a rocket? Let me give a very brief introduction what basically a rocket is. What is a spacecraft? What is a rocket? What is a satellite? I have seen that various common man have they don't understand basically what is the difference between these three things. So we need to understand this. This is a picture. The first picture is the picture of a rocket, and the last picture, which is flying, that is also the picture of a rocket. What is a rocket? The structure of a rocket is shown in this picture. A rocket is basically a vehicle or an instrument which will take one spacecraft, one other vehicle, one satellite, one instrument to space. So suppose when we talk about Sputnik 1, the first satellite which went to space, who took that satellite to space? It's not that a human being took it to space. So to place or to take one particular object or a satellite or an instrument or a spacecraft to space, we need to take the help of a rocket. So rocket is the booster for this. Rocket is acting like a booster. This particular rocket, which is made by India, if you want to take any particular object or if you want to take any particular satellite to space with the help of this rocket, you will have to place that satellite at the top somewhere near here. The satellite itself is not very small, but the rocket is very huge. And to place a satellite, to place an instrument, to place an object in space, we need a rocket. So it's like a booster. And basically, this is what is shown here. So what does a rocket composes of? A rocket composes of so many things. I will not go to the details. So basically, what it means by payload system is this. Payload in astronomy or space science means that particular satellite or instrument which you need to send to space with the help of this particular rocket. This is known as a payload. And you will have to place that payload somewhere at the top, somewhere here. So this tells us something about a very crucial point. That means if you want to launch, if you want to particularly place one satellite at space, you need a rocket. And what happens to the rocket when it goes to space? Basically, the rocket's work is only to take that particular satellite to space. And when it reaches, while reaching space, this particular rocket gets deployed. Deployed means whatever is not necessary, that rocket is rocket and it will gradually separate out and it will gradually fell on, if it is a reusable rocket, it will fell on some ocean, and those particular parts of that rocket will again be collected, again we can use it. So this is how a rocket works. Rocket is nothing but it will take a satellite to space. And when it reaches space in a particular orbit, it will particularly open the satellite will come out from that rocket and it will start working. A spacecraft, which is this particular object. So what is a spacecraft? Spacecraft is basically another particular vehicle which carries human beings to space. So in this particular object, which is a spacecraft, you will see two components mainly two components. The plane-like object is basically the spacecraft, where the humans will be there, where the payload, the instruments which you want to take to space will be there. And the two components, the orange one and the two white objects behind this spacecraft, they are basically, these two basically are rockets. This orange one contains basically the fuel. So basically these three portions comprises of the rocket and this one comprises of the spacecraft. An astronaut like Sunita Williams, we know that she went to space. She stayed somewhere in ISS or International Space Station, which is a home for space astronauts. When an astronaut goes to space, where they stay, the home is actually International Space Station. So it's like a ship in space. So, so when she will go to space and when she will return, how will she return? Because while you going to space, these rockets have used their fuels and they have separated out. While returning back, this spacecraft has the ability to enter the Earth's atmosphere and take the astronauts back to Earth's crust or Earth's surface, and it will land like an aeroplane. So this is what is the basic difference between spacecraft and satellite. A rocket is that particular instrument which takes a satellite to space. Satellite does all scientific observations, experimentation, and when I call about spacecraft is basically an object or an instrument where human beings can travel to space. This is the very basic difference. So basically, if you want to send a satellite to space, the first thing you need to understand is you need to develop a rocket. And this rocket is not like a Diwali rocket that you just take it to some place and fire it and it will go for 100 feet or 200 feet and then it will be done. That is not the case. So there lies the importance of developing a space program. If you go to the pre-independent era or if you go to the after independence, India was a very nascent country after independence. They had nothing, almost nothing. So during those times when actually Europe, America, especially America, USSR, they were leading the space science research. During that time, few people in India actually dreamt a huge dream. There was, as I have shown, there was no laboratory, there was no proper office for them, there was not even proper funding, but they had a great dream for India that we need to establish our own space science program. Otherwise, one day will come when we will have to buy data from other countries. We need not have to do that. Any developed country, any developing good country needs to have their own space science program, space technology program. And among those big shots, among those big dreamers, one of them was there are other big shots, stalwarts like Vikram Sarabhai, then Satish Dhawan. So these people combined together, they started thinking and ultimately progressed to establish one office so that India can start their space program. And that actually gave birth to the Indian space program. How it came to existence, this is a short history. So basically in 1962 onwards, in 1962, one committee was formed, and this was the name of the committee, in COSPAR, Indian National Committee for Space Research. It was formed by the help of Department of Atomic Energy India, and obviously NASA signed an agreement with INCOSPAR that this INCOSPAR will launch US rockets from India, because that time India did not have their own ability to develop their own rockets. So for this purpose, to launch US rockets, a, a committee was formed and one office was established, where the office was established in a place called Thumba. And Thumba is a very small fishing village. Thumba. It is a very small fishing village. It is near Trivandrum, Kerala. And Thumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station, as it was named, that was set up. It was also in 1962. And then comes the great achievement, the historical achievement. Within 1 year of establishment, without having it started literally from zero, within 1 year of establishment on 21st November 1963, the first sounding rocket was launched from Thumba. And in 1967, within only 4 years, India made its own sounding rocket. ইন্ডিয়া নিজের একটি তৈরি রকেট যার নাম ছিল রোহিণী 75 সে সাকসেসফুলি লঞ্চ করতে পেরেছিল so this kind of achievement is very rare in the history of our humanity in the history of any developed countries also in 1967 it was considered as one of the greatest achievements of a developing country that within 4 years of establishing the first office for space research program, one country has developed its own indigenous rocket, a sounding rocket, and that has been successfully launched. And it did not stop there because those people were great visionaries and they moved forward in 1969, 15th August, officially what we know called today as Indian Space Research Organization, that is ISRO. So that was established on 15th August 1969. And that was the beginning, basically. Just to give you a glimpse, so this was the first rocket launch in 1963 from Thumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station. And this is the village. This was a village where fishers used to stay, fishermen. So that is why it was a fishing village, basically. So the first glory of Indian space program started from a fishing village in Kerala. And I feel every one of you can understand that, yes, obviously, if you want to launch a rocket, we need to establish an office. Where is the office? Can you see an office here? Where is that office? Basically, you see something here. It's a church. And very fantastically, this particular church was the first office for ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization. A brief description of it is given here. It is known as St. Mary Magdalene Church. It is till now situated at Thumba. And basically, the story is also fascinating. It was like this: Ki Vikram Sarabhai and Abdul Kalam, Satish Dhawan, they went to the bishop of this church because there is nothing there, no communication, no transportation, no proper infrastructure, nothing is there. How can you establish one office inside a fishing village? So what they did, they went to the bishop of this church. They requested, they told their what they want to do for India, and the bishop of that church was very much good. He agreed, and he told that okay, you take this particular church and you start your office of Indian Space Research Program inside this church. Presently, this church, St. Mary Magdalene's Church, is actually the Indian Space Museum. It is regarded as the Mecca. It is regarded as the most important place for any person in astronomy, any person of rocket science, any person related to space science and astronomy of India. This is the Mecca for them. This is the most grandest place a person loving astronomy can ever visit in India. And till now, this particular church exists. I will request any one of you who is interested in space science, who likes to visit places, please visit this place. Please visit this place. It is Indian Space Museum, presently highly maintained. So, and it is also if you apply there, you need not have to pay anything for entering this museum. It's a free. So it's very near to Trivandrum city, around 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers away from Trivandrum city. So this is how it's a nice, fascinating thing to understand that one of the best leading space nations of the world started its space journey from a fishing village, and their office was situated inside the church. And they started their journey from there. And that journey, one of the main leading person of that journey was this man. So as I have told already, though he is known as the missile man, now gradually we can understand and we will understand better that he was also one of the main key persons who laid the foundation of Indian space program. He was born on a place known as Rameshwaram, which is in Tamil Nadu. Many Bengalis have already visited Rameshwaram. It's a nice place on October 15, 1931. And obviously, Kalam was the youngest among six of their brothers and sisters. So, after graduating, after doing his schooling, he actually joined Aeronautical Development Establishment Center, that is DRDO, Defense Research and Development Organization. So basically, then he was transferred to ISRO in 1969 when it was established. And then the best thing of his life, what I consider, came. He was made the project director of the first satellite launch vehicle. So, as I have told, that you need a rocket to launch or to take one satellite to space. So, any rocket which launches a satellite, that is in India, it is known as satellite launch vehicle. So the first satellite launch vehicle was SLV-3, and the project director for making that satellite launch vehicle, for successfully launching a satellite with the help of that SLV, the project director of making that satellite launch vehicle was our Abdul Kalam. And as you can see, India's first satellite launch vehicle, which launched Rohini actually, satellite in 1980 successfully. So there lies the great contribution of our past president, Dr. Kalam. He actually laid the foundation to build the first proper rocket system of India, which will ultimately take a satellite to space successfully. Gradually, this satellite launch vehicle, this was a precursor. Presently, we have much more better satellite launch vehicles, which is known as PSLV. I will come to that. So, naturally, as time progressed, he has served various other sectors. He has served for prime minister. He has served for defense ministers. He has served as one of the key person to develop the defense related works or defense related missiles like Agni, Prithvi, also the Pokhran nuclear test as we know him. And but I will concentrate mainly on his works of space science. And if you want to see, this was the first satellite launch vehicle, and he was the project director of this. But time progresses. This was in 1970s, 1980s. So with the help of this particular satellite, you cannot launch a very heavy satellite. You cannot launch Chandrayaan or Mangalyaan with the help of this small satellite launch vehicle or rocket, basically. So as time progressed, other scientists they gradually took over it, and then the satellite launch vehicle SLV modified into ASLV, Augmented Satellite Launch Vehicle. Ultimately, we got our own high power satellite launch vehicle, which is PSLV, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. So when Chandrayaan, the famous Chandrayaan was launched, Chandrayaan 1, so the Chandrayaan 1 was launched with the help of this PSLV. And presently we have GSLV, this last one, GSLV Mark II. GSLV means Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle. I will not go to these particular technical terms, details. So this is one of the great achievements of Indian space research program. Now we have the ability to launch a full-fledged satellite containing so many components, instruments. We can launch it into space. We can place it into any particular orbit in high space also. And why? What we have gained through that? Let's have a basic look into it. So this was the first satellite, first India satellite. First satellite of the world which was launched is Sputnik 1. But first India satellite was named after Aryabhatta, who was one of the greatest astronomers in the prehistoric time. So this was launched on 19th April 1975 from Soviet India, because during 1975 we did not have a launching center. So from where you will launch that satellite? Where from you will launch that spacecraft? Where NASA launches their own spacecrafts or rockets? So from a place where a satellite is launched is basically known as a launching center. So during those days, as we have already came to this process, we have understood that India started basically from zero. Their first office of space science program was inside a church. So during 1975, they had to take the help of Soviet Union. So the Soviet Union's space launching station was used for launching this satellite, but this satellite was a completely India-made satellite. সম্পূর্ণরূপে ভারতের তৈরি স্যাটেলাইট এটা। And this is the picture, one picture of one of the greatest astronomers of all time, Aryabhatta. So this is, I have taken it from one famous astronomy research institute in India, which is in Pune. So it's actually IUCA, Inter-University Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics. If you go inside this institute, you will see a very good bust or model of this great person. So based on him, to honor him, this satellite was named. And mainly its main objective was basically astronomical observations. But after that, let us come to those days structure those people who first started our indigenous astronomy program, our indigenous basically space research program. This is one picture. These are some of the very good historical pictures of India. So you can see this person, I guess I know this person. Do you know who is this person? This is Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. So with the help of bicycle, they were carrying the rocket parts in Thumba. And this is actually Thumba. This is the fishing village Thumba. They used to carry the rocket parts with the help of bicycles. And this is how Indian space research program started. And this person, the right-hand side person, another stalwart, Vikram Sarabhai. If I go forward, there are some more fantastic pictures which you can see. So like this. So inside that particular church, St. Mary Magdalene's Church, the first office of ISRO. So this person is Vikram Sarabhai, and this person, the first person, again, our Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. They were talking about making the rockets. And let's see. So if this was the situation, can you understand? Can you feel the beauty how we started? Can you actually grasp the idea how these people, why we call these people as visionaries, great visionaries? They carried the rocket parts with their own hand with the help of bicycles. After what? After you make the rocket, that is a huge rocket. Then after that, making the satellite, that is a huge satellite. After that, how will you carry it? And basically, they took the help of bullock carts. You can see this. So they took the help of bullock cars during the early days of ISRO. This picture is also another picture of Dr. Kalam carrying a rocket part in bicycle. And during those days in 1980s even, if you would have gone to ISRO, if you would have traveled to Kerala, you will literally see that bullock carts are carrying satellites basically. Bullock carts are carrying the spacecraft or the rocket parts which will be assembled and made into a rocket, and then it will be successfully launched. And many of these successful launches were successful at the first attempt itself. That's a great achievement. So this is another picture. So this is, you see rocket parts being carried in hundreds of bullock cars, and this was a picture which was a familiar picture of Thumba village during those days. So we literally started from fishing village from zero, and now what we have, I will try to give a glimpse of it. See what we have gained now. Presently, we have INSAT, one satellite series. It composes of 10 satellites completely made by India. And you can see here, this INSAT series is the largest domestic communication satellite system in Asia Pacific region. Every Indian who uses a TV, who uses a laptop, internet, and a mobile phone, they are actually getting the benefit of INSAT series. This was the development of INSAT, one INSAT satellite. So I feel gradually now you can understand that unknowingly or knowingly, we all Indians, whoever we are, from top to bottom, we are all getting the benefits of space science. Some way, sometimes we can understand it, sometimes we do not understand it. Also, let us go to this particular satellite. This is one of the very good indigenous fantastic satellites of India, EduSat. So this is a satellite which is helpful to deliver education to the remotest corners of our Indian villages. Yes, it is true till now there are various remote villages where education, where internet connectivity, where network problem do exist. And that is why we need satellites. That is why we need space science. We need to study space. We need to study space technology. We need to basically study and know about astronomy. If we go to this place, so the glory like this, it's a huge glory. Now, this is what Rohini looked like to the Rohini satellite. Now, when we come to MetSat, this MetSat was the first meteorological satellite of India, which was made by basically Indians. So, meteorological satellite in Bengali basically means আবহাওয়া সংক্রান্ত কাজকর্ম করার জন্য এই স্যাটেলাইটটি তৈরি করা হয়েছিল। Then let's come to Cartosat, one of the great remote sensing satellites. Also, it has so many other works to do. Let's come to this particular picture now. Basically, as it is a talk about space science and as it is a talk which is related to our Indian defense system, Indian national systems, I am not allowed, or I cannot, you can understand, I cannot show everything what we have, what Indian defense people are doing, what Indian space people are doing. We cannot show it in a publicly. So, but one picture I can show you is basically this is a picture which was taken by one of the satellite of India from space, and this helps to measure the groundwater which is present in India. So now we can understand. See, when we talk that this is a city where groundwater or where water is gradually degrading, and we need to think about that how to give water to that city. So basically, we are taking the help of satellites, we are taking the help of space scientists. So this is how it acts. Science progresses like this. And if you know about this particular story, that around 100 years ago, the story goes like this. Alpha Edison, when he first made his bulb or discovered electric bulb, so he went to the Queen Victoria, the queen of his country, and presented it. And the story goes like this: ki Queen somehow asked, ki, okay, means what is the importance? Means you lighted a bulb, so what? You discovered, okay, with the help of electricity, you lighted a bulb, so what? What will be the benefit of general human beings with the help of it? And what Edison replied was something great. Edison replied was this: that madam, after 100 years, everybody or any government will be able to tax this electricity, tax this bulb. Nowadays, I feel no one is aware, no one is unaware about the need of electricity. I feel I will not have to explain why electricity is important in our world. And I feel everyone understands. Every country is, apart from delivering electricity by producing electricity, they are taxing electricity. So that means any country is gaining money. Apart from we getting benefits of electricity, every country is getting benefit of electricity. They are earning revenue from electricity by producing electricity. So this is how science progresses. We also face questions like this: what will happen if we go to space? Why you are studying stars? What will happen by studying stars? So now gradually I can feel, or I can that with the help of this talk, a basic understanding will get, all listeners will get, why we need to study space, or why we need to study science or abstract science at all. We need to know about nature. Yes, we need. And obviously, another example I can trace is this particular satellite. See this satellite. This is a fantastic satellite, RISAT. It was launched on 2009, April 20, from a place called Sriharikota. Now you see, in 1975, when a satellite was launched, Aryabhatta, it was from Soviet Union. Now something is not Soviet Union. It is known as Sriharikota. So this Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh, this is the rocket launching station of India. Basically, India has two rocket launching stations. So one of them is this. So this satellite is basically used for disaster management, weather forecasting, remote sensing, and apart from this, it is also used for defense purpose, for surveillance purpose. As we know, the line of control between India and Pakistan. So this particular satellite is actually taking or surveilling the line of control every second. How do we know that some terrorists are entering through line of control? How do we know? How militaries know about it? I need not have to go to details about it as it is something classified information, but I feel you can understand that how satellites are in helping in defense also. In our own security, by sitting in home, taking pizza and burger, we can actually tell what scientists are doing, rubbish things, but we will never understand what they are doing. By sitting in our own home without understanding science, we will never understand what they are doing, what doctors are doing, what satellites imaging is doing, what space science is doing. So I am just giving very few examples here. Now, apart from this, as I told, that for understanding our country, for the development of the country, we need space science. Apart from that, we need to study space itself. We need to study the objects of space, celestial objects also. And as a part of that, India first started its exploration into space through the help of this mission. It is well known to everyone, Chandrayaan 1. So it was launched in 2008, it reached and it was successful. And basically, this particular Chandrayaan composed of one particular instrument which was named as Moon Impact Probe. So on the top of Moon Impact Probe, on one side of it, one particular quote was written from Rig Veda, and this was the quote. And this particular Moon Impact Probe, what it did, it separated from Moon when it reached Moon. So Chandrayaan 1 did not landed on Moon. So Moon Impact Probe was the only instrument which separated from this particular Chandrayaan 1, and it hit the Moon surface, making India very one of among very few countries which has placed their particular spacecraft or their particular instrument at Moon. Apart from this, so that can be only for glory purpose, not that. Apart from this was the first instrument which discovered water in Moon. I feel many of you till now remember those newspaper cuttings during the time of 2010, 9, 10 when it came to newspapers, it was spread everywhere. Okay, India's Chandrayaan 2, India's Chandrayaan 1 has found water in Moon with the help of one particular instrument which was sent by India, that is Moon Impact Probe, and another two instruments which was sent by America through this particular spacecraft, Chandrayaan 1. Then naturally after that, after getting the first time success to Moon, naturally ISRO planned, we know about this also, ISRO planned for the red planet. So as we have spoken that the title of our today's talk, the tagline was ki we started from fishing village from zero basically, and we reached to the red planet. Now reaching the red planet Mars, which is very far away from us, it is very difficult. If you anytime read the history of Mars exploration, you will see almost more than 50 missions have been carried out on Mars, and almost two-thirds of them have failed. India became the first time, the first nation to successfully go to Mars and achieve success. India became the fourth nation to successfully launch a mission and successfully enter Mars orbit. So why we need this? I will come to this. Why we need to go to Mars? Okay, we can study space from spacecrafts and we can study space from telescopes placed in the atmosphere or outside atmosphere. That is okay. Why we need to go to Mars? We need to go to Mars. Before going to that, this was what Mars mission or what this Mars orbiter mission, the spacecraft looked like. So this was the Mars orbiter mission. It composed of 5 particular payloads or instruments, and presently also it is working. It is orbiting Mars and it is sending us data about Mars. Now, let me tell one particular aspect. And basically, when we discuss, I have seen that when we discuss about these things, very commonly, I see some people who ask this question, and that is a pertinent question also. Why we need to go to Mars? It's better to think about Earth more and more number of times. It's better we can spend sending satellites or sending missions or do some good work for Earth. Why we need to send a mission to Mars at least from India, which is not a rich country, which might be considered as a poor country also. Why we need it? Because as I told that to gain knowledge we need to understand the whole space absolutely. Otherwise, our own earth is at stake. Our own earth is at danger. And for another analogy, I will suggest if someone asks this question, is Mars mission necessary for a particular country like India? Then for that person, I can give another answer in a bit rude way. It's like this. See, the total cost for Mars mission during 2013 was 460 crore rupees, 460 কোটি টাকা. During that time, 2013, the population of India was around 115 crores, 115 কোটি, 115 কোটি. So that means from each and every person we have taken 4 rupees, 4 টাকা করে আমরা নিয়েছি প্রত্যেক পার্সনের থেকে. And if you go to a report, you will see official reports say that in 2013, during that year only, approximately the total cost Indians spent for lighting crackers was 5,000 crores, almost 5,000 crores. That means each person has almost spent 44 rupees for lighting crackers. How many people in India has 44 or earns 44 rupees a day? How many people? Instead of lighting crackers and wasting money, 44 rupees each person, if we give this those people who don't have food for 2 times, I feel in any place in India, basically at least one time in a day, you will get good food with the help of 44 rupees. And this is something I'm quoting here. Now I will just show you a particular data. And this I have taken from Newsflix. So in 2019, with a very rough estimate, it has been shown only on the day of Diwali in 2019, only on the day of Diwali, Indians have spent around more than 3,000 crore rupees only for lighting crackers, only for firecrackers. Is it necessary? Now, this question is for those people who wants to ask, is Mars mission necessary? Which is more necessary? This is the question from my point. Try to understand, try to feel which is more necessary. And that's how I generally, if this is a rude answer, yes, this is a rude answer. This is a rude question of tackling that particular question. So this is for the audience to think of which is more necessary. Whether we should understand the nature, whether we should understand the space, whether we should understand our whole earth so that our own earth can become safe, or whether we should spend or waste monies on something which is basically not giving us anything. So let us progress. Like that, in 2015, the first multi-wavelength or the first space observatory, means the first satellite only for astronomical purpose, was launched by India, and that is known as AstroSat. So AstroSat also has 5 particular instruments for observing astronomical objects in different bands, different wavelengths, and it is also doing magnificent works now. Every day we are getting huge amount of data. We are learning about astronomical objects with the help of this. And basically, India is also earning money by spending the time of this astrosat. Basically, this astrosat time, people from outside India also take buy time to observe their own objects of interest with the help of this astrosat. They pay for that, and that is a huge amount of money. So like that, this is what astrosat official poster of ISRO looked like. So now again you can see for launching any satellite we needed a rocket, and this was the rocket, same PSLV, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, which was used to launch this particular satellite. And during the time of launch, this astrosat satellite had a weight of 1513 kgs. So sending or putting some object more than 1500 kg into space, now I feel you can understand what was the achievement which was achieved by India gradually through those stalwarts, through those visionaries which started the space program for India. So this is what we have achieved gradually. and it was launched from Satish Dhawan Space Center at Sriharikota. Let us see another particular mission. See, when we talk about these successful missions, I, as a scientist or as a future scientist, I believe that we also have to talk about our failures. It is necessary. So Chandrayaan 2, which was launched, everyone knows, which was launched previous year in July, and on 7th September, that was the date when Chandrayaan 2 was a orbiter. It also had a lander which will land on moon. It also had a robot which is known as a rover. So the robot will come out from the particular lander and it will roam around the surface of moon. That was the mission. So this Chandrayaan 2 was launched by this particular rocket, the finest rocket which India has made, GSLV Mark II, Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle Mark II. But due to some particular issues, as you can know that you know this, you understand this, space, tackling space, sending something to space is not at all easy. And when people of India are trying to send something not to only space, to some other object at all, to some other heavenly object having complete different kind of texture, structure, everything is different. So it's difficult. It is really very difficult. And yes, it is true that at the last moment, Chandrayaan 2 was unable to land properly and the mission failed. But yes, we believe as an Indian, as a future scientist, as a science researcher, I believe that this will not stop us because our predecessors started the journey from zero and they have given that particular road to us, and standing on the shoulders of those giants we have reached to this particular stage. So naturally, we will not stop. Scientists of ISRO will never stop. They will explore the space, and in future, I believe that obviously Chandrayaan 3, or when it will go, or even more amount of spacecrafts when it will be starting to go, they will be successful. And obviously, failures will also remain. It might happen, we will again face failures, but those failures will never stop us. If we surrender because I am failed, then our life will stop. So that is what I will try to say for this particular failure. And let me progress. This is the picture of Satish Dhawan Space Center, which is at Sriharikota, which I was talking about. It is located in a place in actually it is an island at Andhra Pradesh. So you can see the sea. So this is one of the rocket launching stations or spacecraft launching stations of India. And presently, India is also thinking not only about sending spacecrafts. It is presently the future ahead is actually glorious. Presently, it is thinking to send particular human beings through their own technology. As you know, that India has already started their own training programs to train their own astronauts. We are also trying to send within this or next year another particular spacecraft will go for studying particularly sun, which is known as Aditya 1 mission. So it will reach a height or it will reach 1,50,000 kilometers away from Earth and then it will start observing sun. And as I have already mentioned, studying sun and how sun and solar atmosphere behaves or how sun actually interacts with Earth's atmosphere, that is important to know. There are also other missions like for understanding how the ultraviolet sky looks like. There is one mission which has been planned known as INSIST mission, INSIST mission. So this will be a complete ultraviolet satellite which will be launched very soon, and it is an astronomical satellite, but it will look the astronomical objects with the help of ultraviolet radiation. So there are so many other good projects which are planned, and in ground based also there are so many other good facilities which will come up. Some of them have already started in various places, and India is presently becoming a partner. They have become a partner of various mega projects. Like a partner, they have become a partner of TMT, which is known as 30-meter telescope, world's largest telescope system, which will be placed most probably at Hawaii Islands in US. So India is a partner of that particular mega project. So like that, now the science of India, basically space science of India, astronomy science of India is in a golden stage. We are basically living in a golden age of astronomy, at least in India. So not only all who are listening to this for fun purpose, for good feeling purpose, they will obviously be happy. But any student, anyone who wants to motivate a student who is listening to this talk, obviously for students also there are huge prospects in future. And for further reading purpose, I have already come to almost the last portions of my talk. I feel I have taken much more than 1 hour. I don't know how many are liking this talk, but basically I will end the talk very soon. So for further reading purpose, I will suggest these are two fantastic books to understand Indian space science. So this is the second book, From Fishing Hamlet to Red Planet. This is the extensive detailed story about India's space journey. The whole thing which I have told is nothing almost. The whole documentation of how India started space science program and where it reached now, it has been documented in this particular book. It's almost a 1000 page book. It's available in Amazon. Anyone who has interest in understanding this particular story in details, you can look into it. And especially this another book, Touching Lives. So this is a very fantastic book which I found. I've read it, so this is also available in Amazon. This tells about how space technology development of ISRO has helped almost every general human being of India. So if you read this book, you will get a vivid description of that. How ISRO helped Indian general common man, because whenever I go for these kind of talks, I have faced this kind of question. Ki, okay, you people are doing good works, you going to space, doing very good works, but by studying space, does a farmer gets anything? By studying space, a very normal person, does he get any benefit? Yes, they get. And if you want to read about it, you can have a look into this book. And obviously, I will come to the end of this talk again with a tribute to this great person, especially this one particular person. So Abdul Kalam, as I have mentioned, that in July 27th, while giving a talk, he 2015 he died, and it was in Shillong, in Meghalaya. So the talk which was he was giving was on creating a livable planet Earth. I feel any one of us who is a teacher, who wants to teach this, or who is a scientist, who is in the academic field, we need to take care of our own planet Earth. And for that taking care, we need to understand space. At least we need to motivate others to understand space, to go pursue a career in space. So we need to understand that we owe a lot to this person. His last talk was about this, that we need to make a good earth. And just talking about few of his honors and awards, he received ample amount of honors and awards. Some of them are listed here. He received 7 honorary doctorates. Also, he received Bharat Ratna, which is the highest Indian civilian award. And in Tamil Nadu, the state of India, where he was born, on October 15th, or on his birthday, it is celebrated as Youth Renaissance Day. So, like this, he is a stalwart. He is basically a stalwart who gave us a path to understand, who gave us a path to dream. And not only that, how many of you know that near Orissa is a state of India, near Orissa, one island has been named after Dr. Kalam. That island was previously known as Wheeler Island, now it is known as Kalam, Dr. Abdul Kalam Island. How many of you know that I was talking about International Space Station? Means when an astronaut goes to space, where does they stay? The home in space is known as International Space Station. So recently, researchers from NASA, they have discovered a new bacteria inside International Space Station, and that particular bacteria is named after Kalam, Dr. Kalam, which is known as Solibacillus bacillus kalami. So this person is not only a famed or great person to Indians only, he is an internationally famed person. NASA has named one particular bacteria on his name. Indian government has named one island on his name. Apart from that, in February 2018, Botanical Survey of India, they found a new species of plant, and that this is the plant, and that plant is known as now Drypetus kalami in honor of Kalam. So basically, I feel that this person, anyone from outside India, if anyone is listening to this talk, I feel they can get a glimpse of the contribution this person has made for our country. And for our country people, I need not have to elaborate how much contribution he has given. Let me come to another last topic, and that is this topic. What is it telling? Basically, see, I was talking, okay, we go to space or we send spacecrafts to space or satellites to space. We study space and space related objects, astronomical objects, to understand, to know more, to get knowledge. Okay, that is fine. But is it necessary to send man to space? Is it necessary to send man to moon? What glory we will get? Oh, obviously we will get glory. But does sending human beings to moon or Mars will help general public? Will give any benefit? Yes, it will give, and it has given. So naturally, I will give the best example of the successful landing of man on the moon. That was through the help of Apollo mission. So Apollo mission was there were 17 missions, out of which six through the help of six missions, 12 astronauts have landed on moon. With the help of Apollo mission, landing astronauts on moon, what benefit general people have received? Let's see that. And this is not I have made. You can get it from anywhere. You can type it in Google and you will get it. Do you know that with the help of Apollo mission, pacemaker, programmable pacemaker was invented? Do you know about deep fridge system? The deep fridge system in fridge was invented by the help of this Apollo mission. Insulation, house insulation system, water purification process. Anyone who is using nowadays any water purifier, these all were invented these all came up as a byproduct of Apollo mission. Also in medical science, you see improved kidney dialysis machine, memory foam, anesthetic gas analysis machines. Like that, this list is huge. So by Apollo missions, ultimately these things came. I can give a huge list of these things. When Apollo mission was on its progress during 1970s, 1960s, early 1970s, maybe during that time people that they didn't understand, common man didn't feel that how we will be benefited. But yes, space science gives benefit in long term. It basically happens with science also. So we need to develop space exploration missions, and we need to send also people to space so that we can understand, we can experiment with new knowledge, which will ultimately definitely help us. Definitely it will help us. And why we need that help basically is because of this. See, this is a quote which I like. It's a famous quote by Abdul Kalam. When we stand, we see at the look at the night sky, we see numerous number of stars. Obviously, if you go to a place away from light pollution, then only you can see a sky like this. And when we see this huge sky, can we feel how small we are? Just to give a feeling of that, I will end my talk with this particular issue. In 1977, one spacecraft known as Voyager 1 was launched into space, and its mission was to go to Jupiter, then Saturn, then ultimately it will go away from space. It will go away from our solar system. So this was the mission. But in 1990, when it crossed Pluto, and it was at a distance of 4 times the distance of Sun and Pluto. So from a distance of this much kilometer, you can understand. So this is a distance of 120 AU, which is basically 4 times the distance between Sun and Pluto. From that distance, it actually focused its camera towards inner solar system like this, and it took one image of the inner solar system, pointing its camera towards Earth. And the image we got was this. This is one of the greatest images This is one of the greatest, most historical pictures ever taken in the history of humanity. And this image is known as the pale blue dot. In this image, this small dot, can you see? Do you know what that small dot is? That small dot is basically our Earth, আমাদের পৃথিবী. And we all, you, me, whoever is listening to this talk, whatever is happening to Earth, everything, whatever we are doing, is doing inside this small dot. Can you ever imagine? Can you feel how small we are inside our own solar system also? If something, some danger comes from space, it will immediately wash away Earth within a second. And basically, this is why we need to study space, we need to study space technology, space science, and we need to give respect to those people who ultimately were visionaries who started those space programs. So, with this, I will come to the end of this talk, talking about particularly one particular book. One thing I couldn't mention about or I couldn't discuss in this particular talk was this, because when I give talks like this in any place, generally students or someone will ask this question, okay, I am fascinated. I want to become a space engineer or I want to study astronomy in future. How will I study? How can I become an astronomer? How can I become a space engineer in future? So basically now presently one book is available in Amazon, which is the first book in India, which is not to teach astronomy. This is the first guidebook that how can an Indian student pursue astronomy or space science as a career. So it might look like that I am self boosting myself, is like self advertising myself. I have written this book, but I feel that it is necessary to share this information with so many interested students, so many interested parents, teachers who are listening to this talk. Because if they have this question, my student or my son or I want to become an astronomer in future, please discuss about it. It will be difficult within 5 minutes to discuss. You can buy this book and have a look into this book. In details, it is mentioned from class 10th level in Indian perspective, how an Indian student can move from class 10 level to become an astronomer or a space engineer. I will end my talk here. Thank you, everyone. Almost I have taken more than 1.5 hours, and I thank everyone. I thank the organizers for bearing with me. So I will tell, yeah, Rajesh da, Rajesh sir.
এক্সেলেন্ট ওয়ান্স অ্যাগেন এক্সেলেন্ট। তুমি এইবার স্ক্রিনে চলে আসো, আমাকে দেখতে পাচ্ছো?
Yes, yes, I can see. হ্যাঁ, আমি তোমাকে দেখতে পাচ্ছি। I can see
আচ্ছা,
you.
প্রথমে আমি আমি কিছু কোশ্চেন গুলো আছে যেটা আমি আগে ওটা দিয়ে দিই। তোমার স্ক্রিনের উপর একটা কোশ্চেন গেছে, দেখো। ক্যান ইউ প্লিজ সাজেস্ট, রাকিরও জিজ্ঞেস করেছে, ক্যান ইউ প্লিজ সাজেস্ট এনি
Okay.
বুক ফর পিপল
Books
বিলংস ফ্রম নন
from
সায়েন্স
non-science
ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড ওয়ান্ট?
background who want to pursue astronomy or space science. Okay, yes, yes, yes. So I will suggest that yes, anyone who is belonging from non-science background, uh, I have already mentioned the book, that last book, Becoming an Astronomer. You can have a look into it. There is a section where I have mentioned about any non-science background for people can also become a part of astronomy, not as an astronomer or not as a professional space scientist, but there is something called contributing for professional astronomy, contributing in the research of professional astronomy. So there they can contribute. And how they can contribute, there are so many small projects which are available, free projects which are available nowadays, so in internet. So if you go to internet and type citizen science, so that gives you a citizen science is a term which is used for any project which can be done, any project where any particular citizen of any country, any region, no bar is there, anyone can participate in a science research project or a research project. So if you type citizen science and if you go to astronomy, then you can get astronomy projects which are available in the world at present. So there are so many projects available, so many research opportunities available for anyone who wants to contribute in the field of astronomy. And the details also I have mentioned. So basically, yes, there is, but only thing is that being a non-science background person, at least in Indian context till now, one cannot become an astronomer or astrophysicist or a space scientist. but he or she can definitely contribute in space science by becoming a member, by joining a project, any citizen science project from India or from outside India. Yes.
একটা আরো প্রশ্ন আছে স্মিতা ত্রিবেদী থেকে
And then, okay.
can citizen of our country visit any
Visit
observatory
any
of
observatory
our
of our
country?
country? If yes, then how? Yeah, very nice question. It's a pertinent question. I couldn't actually talk about these things. Yes, yes. Yes, any citizen of India can visit any observatory of India, any astronomical observatory of India. Everybody can visit. Because these observatories are controlled by government of India, and how these observatories, how we are getting money for doing observations is by the taxpayers. So anyone can visit, and for visiting, if you go to any observatory web page, there is a visitors program. There is a visitors web page or visitors link. So you will have to fill that visitors link form, and you can apply that I need to visit that particular observatory. I want to see. We'll have to give you a purpose why you want to go. So I want to see, I want to understand how this is going on, how it is running. Obviously, you can visit it. And suppose if I give an example for Kavalur Observatory, Vainugappu Observatory, Kavalur, that is controlled by Indian Institute of Astrophysics. So you type Indian Institute of Astrophysics at that particular place, it's Google, you will get the website iiap.res.in. Inside that website, that is the official website of Indian Institute of Astrophysics. You will visit, you will search and you will find the link for the Vainugappu Observatory. Open it, and you can submit the form that I want to visit, and this is the time of my visit, and this is the purpose of my visit. They will allow, yes, any observatory you can visit if it is not a defense observatory or if it is not related to defense, because that is something classified. Any astronomical observatory you can visit, yes, definitely.
আশা করছি অস্মিতা আর রাখি নিজের প্রশ্নের উত্তরটা পেয়ে গেছে। যদি আরো কারো প্রশ্ন থাকে তাহলে আপনি পোস্ট করতে পারেন। একটা খুব ভালো কোটেশন আমরা যেটাকে শেয়ার করেছি, হোয়াট হ্যাজ বিন এক্সপ্লেন বাই মিস্টার ডক্টর আব্দুল কালাম আজাদ পেন্স পজিটিভ অ্যাটিটিউড এন্ড নেগেটিভ সিচুয়েশন। ওনার আর একটা फेमस कोट ছিল যেটা কি सपने वो नहीं है जो हम सोते हुए देखते, सपने वो होते हैं जो हमें सोने नहीं दे। তো দিস ওয়ান্ডারফুল কোড বা ওনার যে এক একটা কথাগুলো যেটা আছে, ইটস রিয়েলি মানে লোক মোরাল বুস্টটা করে দেয়। মানে আমি যদি একটা এরকম সিচুয়েশনে থাকি, এই জিনিসগুলো পড়লে আমার হাফ সিচুয়েশন মানে অলমোস্ট অল প্রবলেমের সিচুয়েশন ভ্যানিশ হয়ে যাবে আমাদের এটা থেকে। আরো কারো যদি কোনো প্রশ্ন থাকে তাহলে পোস্ট করতে পারেন। তার আগে আমি বলে দিই কি আজকে কার্গিল বিজয় দিবস আছে, 21 ইয়ার হয়ে গেছে আজকে কার্গিল বিজয় দিবসের। So we have already dedicated our today life to Kalam sir, and also to our brave soldiers, those who are fighting for our country. আর আমাদের নেক্সট লাইভগুলো again very interesting, যেটা আমাদের ফার্স্ট আগস্টে আছে, সেটা হচ্ছে একটা এক্সপ্লোর দ্য আন্ডার ওয়াটার ওয়ার্ল্ড বাই কমান্ডার বিশ্বনাথ রঞ্জন, যেটা নেক্সট উইকের মধ্যে হবে, স্যাটারডে রাত্রিবেলা 8টার সময়। আর তারপরে আর একটা খুবই ওয়েল নন এক্সপ্লোরার মিস্টার হরিশ কাপাড়িয়া, উনি দ্য ব্যাটল অফ রচেস সিয়াচিন গ্লেসিয়ার এটা থাকবে। তো আর কারো কোনো প্রশ্ন নেই আমার মনে। রাখি থ্যাঙ্কস জানিয়েছে বড় তোমাকে। থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ স্যার, মিস্টার ব্যানার্জি, ইট ওয়াজ ভেরি ইনফরমেটিভ সেশন। তোমার সেশনের জন্য অনেক, তুমি যেহেতু প্রেজেন্টেশনটা করছিলে দেখতে পাচ্ছিলে না কমেন্টগুলো কি 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 আসছিল, তো প্রায় 1.5 ঘন্টা হয়ে গেছে, বাট নট আ সিঙ্গল পার্সন, কেউ বোর হয়নি, কন্টিনিউয়াসলি কমেন্টগুলো চলে এসেছে। আর তোমার সেশনগুলো সবসময় এত জটিল সাবজেক্ট থাকার সত্ত্বেও তুমি এত সিম্পলি এ করো। আমি খুব এই জিনিসগুলো আমার অত বোঝায় মানে আমি বুঝতে পারি না, বাট তুমি যেভাবে এক্সপ্লেন করো এটা ইজিলি লেমেন ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের মধ্যে যে কেউ বুঝতে পারে, খুব ইন্টারেস্টিং হয়ে যায়। আর আজকে অনেক ইনফরমেশনগুলো যেটা তুমি দিলে এটা অনেক লোকই জানতো না। তো থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ ফর वंडरफुल सेशन। और थैंक यू वेरी मच। तो दोस्तों देखना
Thank
ना
you.
भूले हमारा अगला जो 2 फेसबुक लाइव जो अगले वीकेंड में है, एक है अंडर वाटर वर्ल्ड और दूसरा है सियाचिन ग्लेशियर के ऊपर में, जो कि दोनों ही नॉन पर्सन है, हरीश कपाड़े जी का और कमांडर विश्वनाथ रंजन का। तो देखना ना भूले। अपने आप को स्वस्थ रखे, अपने आप को मास्क पहने, अगर कहीं बाहर में भी निकले हाथ धोते रहे, और बी सेफ, कीप सेफ, एंड enjoy your coming week. Thank you very much, and
Thank
have a
you.
nice day.
Thank you.